Actually a very nice move, by the way. So bishop f3, queen takes b7. Oh, so we're gonna take a look at the games between Michelle Khare and Bobby Hall from Pogchamps. To start with, so d4 d5, knight up, bishop f4, bishop f5. So Michelle Khare plays the she plays the London system. Bobby Hall sort of plays a reverse London as well, bishop at f5. I like a6, the idea maybe to play c5 at some moment, maybe just e6 and c5, but it really stops any threats on this long diagonal down towards the black king. So bishop to d3, good move by Michelle Khare. c4, very good. Bobby Hall goes knight c6, knight c3, e6, and now knight f3. So far pretty standard castles. Bishop h5. Now this is one thing that I would say is a little bit unnecessary by Bobby Hall here, or logic. I think in general playing bishop to d6 is a little bit more realistic. Bishop h5 is actually not a terrible move. The problem with bishop h5 though is that you create a pin, but it's not really a very strong pin. White center is very consolidated. You have 3 pawns supporting each other. There's no way really to say move, like for example, you can't like move a knight to e5 to target the diagonal. Likewise, you can't take d4 because I take with the pawn. So it's very hard kind of to use this pin on the diagonal effectively and get a second piece besides just your bishop attacking the knight. So I don't love bishop h5 because white can potentially take and go like bishop e2 for example to break the pin, or maybe even queen b3, which would be very aggressive. So I don't love it. Anyway, queen b3 is what Michelle Khare plays. Actually a very nice move, by the way. So bishop f3, queen takes b7. Oh, such a great idea, but the concept is unfortunate because in this position I love the concept. White can obviously take the bishop on f3 here and it's even, but Michelle probably thought, well, I can take the pawn, and if you move the bishop, well then I take the knight, and if you say move the knight, I can take the bishop. Unfortunately, after queen takes b7, there's this very nasty move. I guess dc4 is a move. Order is kind of wrong, as you see from the way I was saying it. I thought black could just play knight a5 here right away, and black's completely fine. Instead, logic takes. Michelle takes it, but actually now here knight a5. So Bobby, he doesn't see it on the first time around, but he sees it the second time. This is a brilliant move by Bobby because if you take the bishop on d3, white takes knight on c6, and white is actually probably winning here. But knight a5 is an in-between move, removes the knight from being under attack. Secondly, you attack the queen, and third, you're still attacking the bishop. So great move by Bobby to see knight a5. So queen a8, not the best. White probably should take on c7. Bishop holds the queen again after pawn takes bishop. Rook d1. Black has an extra piece. You have 2 knights and a bishop against the bishop and a knight, but there are chances perhaps for white to come back here. So it's there were some chances. Instead she takes, and after queen a8, bishop e4 takes, bishop d6. Nice move by logic here, trying to trade off the bishops. e5, bishop e7, rook b1, queen f3, h5, and now does he go for the lolly checkmate? He does. So very vicious play by logic. h5, h4, idea to play h3, create the lolly checkmate on g2 with the pawn and the queen. He goes bishop f4, Bobby sees it, plays h3, and now it's just an unstoppable lolly checkmate with queen g2 next move. She takes, queen g2. Not much to say. Perfect game by logic, pretty much. Maybe in the opening his moves weren't precise, like this bishop g6, bishop h5 move. Maybe not necessary, but overall very clean performance by Bobby in this game, and very deserved victory. So he comes out on fire, wins the first game. So let's move along to the second game. Okay, so the second game, Bobby Hall has the white pieces. Bobby Hall, also known as logic. So let's look at it from Michelle's point of view. So e4 c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, e6. Very good start by Michelle. Plays the Sicilian defense, develops the knight, puts the pawn on e6, so that even though white has the bishop on c4, there really are no threats on the diagonal. Whereas here, if you go g6, maybe knight g5 is an idea, queen f3. A lot of pressure towards this weak pawn on f7. But by playing e6, Michelle blocks the diagonal, and now even if you go knight g5, regardless of the fact that I can take, there's no actual threat towards the pawn because this pawn in the middle blunts the threats towards f7. So d3 is played, g6 here, nice move by Michelle, knight c3, bishop g7, bishop d2, knight f6. Now one thing you want to note in the Sicilian is if you ever put the pawns on e6 and g6, you're always fianchettoing your fianchettoing your bishop to g7 here with the sniper nest, 3 pawns around it, and then put the bishop on the inside here. But then secondly, if for example, let's say we get this position, if you have some position like this, playing knight to f6 makes sense. But if you ever put the pawns on e6 and g6, first of all you develop the bishop, but then secondly you put the knight on e7. So in this game, knight to e7 would have been a better move than knight f6, and the reason is that the pawn, it gives you space here, but then secondly you can push with the thrust pawn to d5. Meanwhile you keep the diagonal open from g7 to a1, whereas when you play knight f6, the knight is kind of in the way of this diagonal. So knight e7 is better because you can thrust in the center, and you also keep the diagonal open. Instead she plays knight f6, a3, d5. Very good, by the way. Again, very good position. It's just you would prefer to have the knight on e7 so that you have scope for your op on g7. So castles. Naroditsky said you should never play g6 with e6. Yeah, I would say at this level definitely not. If you're advanced you can do it, but it is very tricky when you put pawns on g6 and e6 in the Sicilian, because you have to do it, you have to be very, very careful in how you do it. So b6, queen c1, bishop b7, bishop h6, knight g4, trade. And now unfortunately white takes the pawn on d5. I will cover the next match after I finish my analysis. But knight g4 is not best. Probably a better idea is to go like knight e7, with the idea of let's say h3, where you go d4, you open up the diagonal, you threaten the knight, you threaten both knights rather, because you attack the knight on c3 and the knight on f3, and there's a lot of scope. Whereas here again, it's no different than, see how this knight's in the way of this bishop, and you really want to move the knight, push the pawn, and open this long diagonal for the op on b7. Instead she plays knight g4, they trade, knight takes d5. Now white's just up a pawn. Oh no, so Michelle tunnels and takes the knight, and now logic does not miss. He takes the queen, knight d8, they trade. Probably not much more to look at in this game either. H4, queen c7, another fantastic move by logic. You bring the queen to the 7th rank, you potentially can move your knight and attack f7 because the king's on g7. Secondly, you attack this very sad knight on b7, and you can also capture all the juicers on the queen side. So knight d8, rook e1. Actually great move, another great move by logic, trying to trade off the heavy pieces, the rooks. And now he takes knight f4, knight g5. Oh, so logic actually lost his concentration for a second and played knight g5 and blundered the rook on e1. I was gonna say what a great game, he just trades the rooks like queen e7, knight e5, knight g5, just wrap it up. Instead he actually blunders with knight g5, rook e1, king h2, and now Michelle plays h6, another very good move, because what white would like to do is put the queen on d7 or c7 and go for a quick checkmate with the knight and the queen. So I like h6, knight f3, rook e2, queen d6, knight h5. Now logic finds knight e5. Very, very good move. And Michelle, I guess if she run out of time here, the game ends. I'm assuming that Michelle Khare ran out of time here and lost the game on the clock. That being said, the position is very difficult to play. White's knight is really good, the queen is good. White can bring the queen in either e7 or c7, and there's a lot of pressure towards the pawn in f7. So unfortunately Michelle ran out of time here and she lost the game, and with it the match 2-0. But overall I feel like she played, there were moments in both games that were pretty good. I think in this game the main thing is, and this is why Sicilian is so difficult, is that when it gets closed, this notion of trying to open up diagonals for your ops is very hard. And that was really the big thing, was probably, I would say, probably trying to remember what you can do with your ops. Like if you look at white's ops, they're on very open diagonals, very clear-cut targets towards the black position. So I mean, knight e7 is the best move, almost impossible to play at this level, but I think the notion of trying to play knight e7 and open up the diagonal, trying to find a way to open up this diagonal for your bishop on b7 is just a general point that I want to make. This move of course it's very, I mean, no one below probably 2200 would even consider this move, honestly, so I wouldn't worry if I'm Michelle, but I think it's important to try and open up the diagonals for the bishops. Really, really important. That being said, on the other hand, very, very smooth games played by logic. I feel like he knew what he was doing, got the positions he wanted, and really he just won. Just played good chess as he moves into the championship bracket, where he will face, I believe he's in group D or group C, I'm not sure who he's facing, but he's gonna have some stiff competition. I know the group that he's facing off against is going to have two very strong players at the top. So big shout out to Logic. Pretty smooth, really no criticisms of his game so far. And I think for Michelle, keep believing in what you're doing. She's going to be in the consolation bracket, but she is going to have a shot to win that potentially. So I think there are pluses for both sides from this first match today.